What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
To another episode of the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Colton.
I'm Chad.
I'm Tom, the OG Fig Kid, the staple of the Turnbuckle Debate.
And returning to the Turnbuckle Debate for the second time, the one, the only, Mr. Hal Haney. What's going on, brother?
What's going on?
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah, I had to make that pop off real quick.
Dude, we're pumped to have you back. Had to have you on quicker than usual. We just had you on a couple months ago. You brought the heat last time with Mount Rushmore of mullets. And this week, when we get to your topic, it's going to be top 5 fat guy wrestlers. So we're stoked. But before we get into that, man, what's been going on with the artwork? Let everybody know where they can find you, what you have going on, and all that good stuff, Hal.
Right now I'm working on a Street Fighter characters collide, like the 90s Street Fighter characters, like I did the Mortal Kombat one a couple years ago. So I don't know. I just got done with WrestleCade. I met my new boss. I can't tell you who it is. But anyway, yeah, man, I've been doing a whole bunch of stuff that I can't talk about, which really sucks. You know, I like to be able to talk about my shit, but I can't.
Yeah. It sounds like an exciting mystery though you're keeping from us, so that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it'll be cool. Like y'all still start seeing it. If you're following me, you'll start seeing stuff about it in the next month or so.
Awesome,
so
dude.
I'll be able to start talking about it.
Nice, man. Well, that's good to hear. We're looking forward to hearing more great and big things coming from Hal Haney art. If you guys don't know who Hal Haney is, you're living under a fucking rock. If you're a wrestling fan or any kind of really pop culture, video games, movies fan for artwork, follow Hal Haney art at Instagram, man. We're all, I know that everybody at the Tavern's huge fans of your stuff, man. We're super excited to have you back on.
Thank you very much. I see y'all. You know, y'all got some hanging up. That's very flattering to see.
Well,
kind of hard to believe, but you know.
Well, man, you've been here before. You know how we do it. We got 3 topics. So if everybody's ready, we can jump right into the first one.
Let's do it.
All right, first topic. If Jack Perry is the devil, is the story ruined?
Man, I saw this topic and I was ready to jump out and say yes, like absolutely. But you know what? I've learned, thanks to Chad after hating on the All Atlantic title and which became the international title. Sometimes you gotta let things play out before you say yes. Like my initial gut instinct is, I don't want it to be him, and I don't think it will be good. But you know what? I'm gonna give them a shot if it is him and see how it does work. But on paper, it doesn't look good. But that doesn't mean the story won't pull it off. We've seen that before. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with it probably. But let me give it a shot and see if it is him.
See, Tom, you're taking my logical advice, and I'm going to take my advice and throw it out the window. If Jack Perry is the devil, this story is ruined. And this is not because of Jack Perry. If you listen to our flagship podcast, I'm a big fan of the Jack Perry heel turn. I think it was better. It was needed. I thought, he was dipping his toes in the water with the heel thing. Was he knocking it out of the park on like a Christian MJF heel level? Absolutely not. But it's fun to watch a young talent try something new. And I was all for that. But man, if this didn't have so much mystery built up behind it, and if it didn't have such a big presence on AEW's TV, I would probably be open to it. But the fact that the devil has played such an integral part since the end of September, if you reveal this to be Jack Perry, man, I just think everyone, the IWC, the X, Twitter, Instagram will implode with AEW haters. I just don't think it lives up to the hype of the devil if it's Jack Perry. I really don't.
Chad, I mean, I hear what you're saying for sure. I don't want it to be Jack Perry, but we first started talking about in the group chat the possibility of it being Jack Perry weeks ago, long before the Laugh video came out. Somebody's like, well, you know, what if it is Jungle Boy? And the more I think about it, I don't think it's ruined by any means. Like, I think that I was with you. I was a big fan of the Jack Perry heel turn, but everybody's, you know, there's constant shitting on Jack Perry, like left and right. Kid's not good on the mic. He's not this. He's not that. I mean, at the end of the day, he is considered the fourth pillar. So, I mean, this could be a way to bring him back into the fold and kind of, I mean, I could see, I don't think it's ruined. I could see it potentially working. And maybe that's just the optimist in me. I don't know. But I would like to think that we think it's going to be ruined because we're all upset that it's not Adam Cole, or that it might not be Adam Cole. I'm still holding out hope it is Adam Cole. I don't know if you guys saw or not the posting
clicker
about
in the pocket,
the clicker in the pocket and him shuffling around. I still think there's a great chance it is Adam Cole.
I think it's Adam Cole still.
Regardless, if it's Jack Perry, I don't think it's ruined. If it was Tony Khan behind the mask, it would be fucking ruined for me. Like, absolutely. Like, don't pull like wherever it was me, Austin. All along. Like, I can't have that a second time in my lifetime. Like that's, and it would just not hold any weight at all with it being TK. I mean, at least with Vince, like, you know, his character was a little bit more developed as a villain, but yeah, I don't think it's ruined, but it's definitely not the ideal situation. But at the same time, you know, give it a shot. Everybody bitches about what he is and isn't. You know, maybe this is what takes him to the next level potentially.
Oh, that last part, I don't think you can use something like the devil to take somebody to the next level. I think the devil has to be a big fucking deal because they've made it such a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, nothing about Jack Perry says big deal. Not yet. Now, he's good. He's just not. He's not there. He's not going to be like an oh shit kind of a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like this, it needs the way they built it. It needs to be holy fuck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when whoever it is, like, it needs to be a holy fuck. It can't just be like, oh look, it's Jungle Boy. You know. I mean, hey, and I like him. He's a good wrestler. I don't think he's worth this. He's not that yet. And just like Chad was saying, get ready to smell some shit. Because them motherfuckers gonna be shitting all over this.
Yeah,
if it's Jack Perry, and I might be one of them. Because I love AEW, but let me just say, if they built this up, and because Jack Perry and MJF don't have enough to do with each other historically, like, they're both pillars. They had the match, you know, they had the 4-way match. Was it Revolution? Was it that long ago, or was
I think it was Double or Nothing? Double or Nothing. Yep.
Well, they haven't had enough to do with each other. They've been in the ring together, but it wouldn't be like, I know this ain't gonna happen, but like, let's say if it was fucking CM Punk, that would have actually made some sense,
right?
You know, because the whole reason that MJF is using the devil thing is because of CM Punk in the fucking first place,
right?
You know what I mean? Like, that's from his line and on ROH, the whole fucking Kaiser Soze deal.
I'm kind of with Hal too. I didn't really think about this. The devil has been built where Jungle Boy isn't big. Like, it definitely has to be outside of Adam Cole, who the thing that makes that big is the whole backstab element of it. Like, and it fits the story, but the way they've built the devil, it almost feels like it either has to be Adam Cole or it has to be an outside debut shocker surprise. Like, And I don't think there's a free agent out there that's available to make that splash. I've heard people say Dolph Ziggler, but I think that's even like it. I guess it would depend on like if this was kind of tied into this new gimmick of his, maybe. But to me, like I'm kind of with Hal, like the devil isn't something to build someone off of. And it is one of those things, like if they did it completely perfectly in the long run of it being Jack Perry, maybe it elevates him a touch, but I feel like the way this has been built up, this isn't a, hey, let's put this new gimmick on him and build him up with the gimmick. I feel like you already have to be a big name because like Hal said, when you take that mask off, it's got to be like, holy shit, it's him.
If you, here's what the other thing about that. If it does turn out to be Jack Perry, they're killing Jack Perry.
Yeah,
that's gonna kill him. Because everybody's gonna be like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're killing Jack Perry. Like and maybe it's like punishment for the CM Punk fight. I don't know. I don't know. But I don't think they would risk that on spite. You know, I don't think they'd risk the story.
Think about it this way: if it is Jack Perry and he does unmask in the ring, and he starts getting major heat and they're throwing shit at the ring because they're so pissed at him, what a way to get him over as a heel.
I think that's bad heat, man.
I think
that might be fuck you heat.
Yeah.
I think that's bad heat too. But to continue to play Jack Perry devil's advocate for a minute, hear me out.
Sure. Hey, that devil's advocate.
Well, it wasn't completely. It wasn't well done. But if you think about going back, like you said, Hal, going back to the four, I think calling Jack Perry a pillar is a stretch. Like I will say to an extent, like I know he is because he was one of the first guys in, but just comparing him to the other pillars, that's always been a stretch to me. So that's where I see when I say take it to the next level, I say completely tying him in as a pillar. Because I remember the backstage segments with him and MJF leading up to that Double or Nothing Pillars 4-way where MJF was trying to convince Jack Perry to throw the fucking match. He'd be like, listen, man, like you're a good fucking wrestler, but you're not top guy, and you're not going to be a top guy until you're ready to sell your soul and play ball.
Well, you could say that all of those conversations that MJF was having to him in that lead up, to me, got in his head that initiated his eventual heel turn.
Right. But like, wouldn't this, which I think it did as well, but like, wouldn't this bring that completely full circle? If this, I mean, I'm not advocating for it in the sense that this is what I want happening. I'm just saying, I think there is a roundabout way to where they could pull it out and it doesn't come out smelling like a total. It's not going to be, it's going to be a turd, but it might not be the drizzling shits. You see what I mean? Like it might still be a solid turd. It might not just be like total runny.
A like, good, clean, sweet turd.
A good drive.
They're in a corner.
They are.
They're in because whatever they do, they got to knock it the fuck out of the park, man. This devil shit's got to be perfect, or it is gonna fucking flop.
It's been drawn out way too fucking long to not pull off perfectly. And that's what makes me nervous about it. And I can see if with it being Jack Perry, the thing that I keep going back to it being somewhat interesting is that because it could go both ways. I could see it going both ways for him being like him revealing to MJF, like, yeah, I'm the one that's been fucking with you this whole time, and I took your advice and used it against you, or this whole fucking idea that MJF doesn't know who the devil is and is out to get him is a fucking work. And we get MJF back to being a heel as well once Jack Perry reveals that he's did sell out and is MJF's fucking pawn. And so I could see it going that way too. Because as much as I love MJF as a babyface, he's still a heel deep down. You know, it's coming back. Like we're coming back around to that.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, I could see it working. I don't want it to be it. I still want it to be Adam Cole, I think, but I'm not, I think I've got faith that if he is the devil, it could be pulled off.
Yeah. I mean,
it's slim. I wouldn't bet on it, but I can see it. I could see it. It would have to be done basically. I mean, like maybe if you let me book it, we could maybe pull it off, but I don't know. I think, I could see it not being just the worst thing in the world.
I mean, well, I guess time will tell. I mean, if it's Tony Khan and he's getting all these people after him to stop him from leaving the company with the belt, to stop the bidding war of 2024, and he's not going to be involved in story other than the fact he's revealed as having all these guys go after him, that could work too. if it's done right. It's just a slippery slope. You've got to play it exactly right.
But
Tony Khan cannot become a character we see every week.
That's why it can't be him to me. Whoever the devil is, you have to be active. You can't just reveal it. I'm Tony Khan, and then he goes away. Like, I don't want Tony as a character. That sets, because from here on out, once you set the precedent that he's the devil, that means he's within the storytelling. That's who he is. Look at Mr. McMahon. When Mr. McMahon came out and revealed and became a part of the show with Austin, he could never just be the faceless owner. He was always Mr. And it kind of ties your hands as a booker. Like, you're that guy now. You almost have to take yourself completely off camera to avoid being that guy anymore.
I mean, but Tony Khan doesn't have the charisma to be an on-screen character.
No,
not anywhere close.
He is the drizzling shits on the mic, like, you know.
100%.
No, that laugh sounded like him last week when they had that laugh.
I feel like that's a plant. It's got to be a plant. That was
so
to do exactly.
So could the Adam Cole clicker be a plant?
And I'm having
I have it on good authority. Now, this is something we haven't talked about yet. I have it on good authority from a high-ranking AEW source, mind you, that there are 5 goons plus the devil.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. So if there are 5 goons and the devil, that's 6 motherfuckers
altogether
that are in mass. And now I'm wondering if there might be some kind of a Scream 1 type deal where it's more than one devil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if there's the devil and then 5 goons, that means there's a faction of 6 people that are going to be revealed. Now, who the hell could that be?
Go ahead.
My fantasy booking is the devil's Adam Cole. The goons are Roddy, the Kingdom, Taven, and Mike Bennett. Yeah. And then a returning Kyle O'Reilly. And I don't know the 5th. I don't know who the 5th could be.
Could it be Bobby Fish? Could they just bring back Undisputed Era altogether?
Why not?
I thought the same. Now that Punk's gone, they could bring back Bobby Fish, right?
Yeah. So, Chad, that was my initial thought when the segment first happened for the numbers, because I was like, that's what it is. It's Undisputed Era in the Kingdom and Adam Cole. That's exactly who it is.
Right.
Because, like, we know they're going to bring Kyle O'Reilly back eventually.
What if it's Britt Baker?
Britt Baker.
I thought about that too. I mean, it could be anything, man. I mean, this is what makes this storyline so good, is the fact that we're all here talking about it to the and just fucking fantasy booking every angle that it could be. This is exactly what they want, and I just hope that they give us the payoff it deserves, because if not, it's going to be a big old flop. But yeah, I mean, it could be Britt. I'm less inclined to think it's Britt at this point. But also at the same time,
I'm not even thinking the devil. What if she's just one of the goons? Because I mean, look at Judgment Day. They have Rhea. She's why can't you have a female in a male faction and Britt is tied with Adam Cole? I would be down to see like a modern day Kingdom with Adam Cole and his queen at his side. That could be fun.
Dude, it could be. And looking at her tweets from the last couple of months, like, make me think like she's not just tweeting this to cause trouble. And
imagine, like, by the time the devil returns and the people are revealed, Tony Storm is on a one-way track to being a monster babyface. What if Tony Storm's first big rivalry is against a very heel Britt Baker coming back for her title?
I like that. And honestly, Chad, I hadn't considered Britt Baker being just another one of the goons. That almost makes more sense to me than Bobby Fish, because I mean, you could bring Bobby Fish back, but he seems, from what I've read, he seems to be happy on the indies for the most part right now. And
well, I mean, he's happy because no one's offered him a deal.
Nobody's happy on the indies. Come on.
Fair enough. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. And if I've got to pick one, I mean, Bobby, if I'm picking Undisputed Era members to keep, it's definitely Roddy and Kyle.
It could be a new person that they want to throw in and build someone young up, like kind of like how they're throwing Nick Wayne in with this whole Adam Cole.
Griff Garrison.
Oh man.
There's no way he got all that hair in that mask, dude.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way, unless he's got a buzz cut. But I feel like he's come in and had a squash match since the devil happened. So yeah, he's still got them locks.
Yeah, he sure has.
Well, has anybody got any last words on whether or not Jack Perry being the devil ruins the story?
I mean,
Don't be Jack Perry. Don't be Jack Perry.
I think we can all agree that we hope it's not, but it sounds like we're even split.
If it's Jack Perry, it's going to be a Mount Everest type of accomplishment to make it work. I just don't see it working. I think, and I'll say this, it's not even just Jack Perry. I think this story will rise and fall on who the devil is. Like, I think if they misfire on who the devil is, this whole storyline will be like, it'll be a wet fart. It'll be like, oh man, really? So it's the whole storyline hinges on who the devil ends up being.
I agree with that.
That's the crescendo, and that's how it'll be judged from here on out.
Yep.
I still hope it's CM Punk in a crossover story.
Well,
keep dreaming.
Like Rick Rude style.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll move on to the next topic. Top 5 fat guy wrestlers. So Hal, this is an epic topic, and since it's yours, man, we'll defer to you to start. I do have one question before you get started.
Yeah.
Are you doing top 5 as in your number 1 through 5, or no particular order?
I don't have to have a particular order. You guys do however you want.
Okay, cool.
You know, I will. If you want me to start, I'll start.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. You know what? Fuck it. I will go. My favorite. My top 5.
All right.
Number 5, Samoa Joe.
Nice.
And you know, like Samoa Joe, he's just too much fucking fun to watch in the ring. He's a legend. He should be on everybody's Hall of Fame ballot. Number 4, you got him right there in the middle. That's John Tenta. I'm a big Earthquake fan. You know, the fact that he had the sumo background and he was a legit badass. Number 3, Dusty Rhodes. You know, he made it fucking cool to be fat almost.
Absolutely.
Number 2 is Bam Bam Bigelow. You know, I love everything he ever did in the fucking ring. And number 1 is that guy right there, Big Van Vader. He's actually a sentimental favorite for me because not only did I grow up watching him, you know, on WCW TV when I was, you know, little, but like he was the first wrestler that ever retweeted any of my stuff.
That's awesome.
Wow.
When I first started, my first like full wrestling piece that I ever did, I put it on Twitter and somebody tagged him in it because he was in it. And then he retweeted it twice and he sent me a message and told me how much he liked it. And I said, holy shit. So that's kind of where I got in my mind. I was like, you know what? I might be able to actually fucking do something with this shit one day. And then I was able to eventually turn it into a job, but it's because of the late, great Mr. Leon White that I actually have a fucking job. So
that's awesome.
Big Van Vader, number 1.
That's incredible, man.
I'll do my 5. My number 5, surprisingly enough, is the exact same one that Hal had at his number 5, Samoa Joe. I don't think he gets enough love by modern wrestling fans. His stuff in TNA, I don't think he ever really got a good shot in WWE. You know, it seemed like he got relegated to commentary pretty quickly because of injuries and stuff. But I think finally this version of Samoa Joe we've been seeing on AEW is like a return to his TNA days. So I'm really enjoying it. Love Samoa Joe. Number 4, I have Yokozuna. When I was a kid, this dude, nobody moved. This dude seemed like the biggest wrestler I'd ever seen from size. And he moved like legit. Never realized the dude was Samoan. As a kid, I was like, yeah, he's Japanese.
Yeah, we all thought he was Japanese.
Yeah. Number 3, especially his ECW days. Bam Bam Bigelow, number 3. Number 2, maybe you could argue he's not a fat guy wrestler. He's more of a slobby looking wrestler, but I got Mick Foley at number 2. Always loved Foley, Cactus Jack, especially WCW Cactus Jack. That's what I grew up on. And just like how number 1 with a bullet, Vader. When Vader came into WCW in the early 90s, and he was billed as this guy who had been just wrecking shit over in Japan. He came out with the helmet and the smoke shooting out of the helmet. And when he was aligned with Harley Race in his corner, dude, he was like unstoppable. I like the White Castle of Fear shit. It hit me at the right time. I was like 7, 8 years old. I loved that shit. So I'm all about Vader, man. I love Vader. WWF's Vader wasn't WCW's Vader, but I still loved him. And I just got to throw 2 quick honorable mentions. Natural Disasters as a pair. My fat guy tag team would be the Natural Disasters. And just some love for a terrible, shitty gimmick that takes me back to childhood. PN News from early WCW, the rapping fat guy. I loved that guy when I was a kid.
Okay, I'll go. Rikishi. How can we not have Rikishi on any of our lists? We need a Rikishi
face.
Yeah.
I'll go with one from my childhood, King Kong Bundy. He was scary.
Nice.
He was a dominator. I'll go Mick Foley as my number 3. Number 2, Bam Bam Bigelow. When he came into WWF when I was a kid and they did the battle for Bam Bam, we had not seen big guys move like that. So it was like, oh my God, look at this guy move. That's impacted in my brain forever. Like,
was that when all the managers were vying for him, Tom?
Yeah. Oliver Humperdinck wound up winning. Never heard of him.
Yeah.
WWF, and he was his new manager. And number 1, I got to go Andre the Giant. There's just never going to be a better big guy for me than Andre. Like the way he sold things, he did it in such a unique way. Nobody's ever been able to do it like him before. They'll never do it again. He's just in a class of his own, Andre.
Probably the most iconic fat guy wrestler of all times on Andre, for sure.
Yeah, and I thought about him, but then I was like, well, is he like a fat guy wrestler? Because he wasn't always, like when in his younger days, he was just fucking enormous.
Right.
But he was so big, like he had fucking tree trunk arms and tree trunk fucking legs and a tree trunk body and shit. And he didn't look like a fat guy rolling around in there. And then I guess he wasn't a fat guy until like the mid 80s. I don't know.
Oh, early 80s.
And that's kind of
early 80s.
That's kind of a debate within the debate is, are fat guy wrestlers and giants the same thing? Because I think they're different.
Yeah, I think they're different too, but I think Andre was a fat giant.
Yeah,
fair enough.
He definitely turned into one for sure.
Yeah, that adds a nice layer to this question. It's like, what defines a fat guy wrestler? Like, do we put a body shape on it? Do we put like a weight limit on it? Because to be honest with you, Chad, Hal, I did not have Samoa Joe on my list because I don't like when I think fat guy wrestlers. I don't think I know that he is kind of a fat guy build, but he's a lot trimmer compared to like a John Tenta or a Bam Bam Bigelow.
Right.
But if we're
just ask Scott Steiner and he'll tell you.
So, but yeah, if we're counting Samoa Joe, I feel like I'm still going to give my list how I made it before we got here today. But just if I had in my head accepted that Samoa Joe was a fat guy wrestler, he would be my number 5 instead of who I have as my number 5. My number 5 is not on anybody else's list.
Okay.
He's a newer guy. I don't keep up with the WWE product as much as I used to. Between covering Impact weekly on the Tavern and watching everything AEW does, I don't always tune in to WWE. But, Chad, like you, I took a big break from wrestling in 2008, 2009, and was off for, a number of years. So when I came back to WWE, I put Otis on there, brother. I really like Otis, man.
I like Otis too.
I love his and just like his story. Like, I mean, he's a kid with a learning disability, man, and like he's a child of immigrants, and like he loves his mama, and dude can move. Scott trained by Scott Garland, can do the fucking worm at like 350 pounds and like do it well. I absolutely love Otis. I was real fucking
Great
I
pick. The Chris Farley of wrestling, dude.
very much so, man. Yeah, I was real stoked about him when they gave him the Money in the Bank for a minute. I was like, dude, push this motherfucker to the moon. Like, let's put the strap on him for a minute. Why not? Like, he does comedy so well. I don't know. Big fan of Otis. So I guess I'll keep Otis as number 5. Number 4, I also had Rikishi on my list. I was a big Rikishi fan as a kid. Loved the stink face, loved the bleach blonde hair. Number 3 for me is going to be Bam Bam Bigelow as well, man. Just the fucking beast from the East. Like
the tattoos.
The tattoos on the head, man. Like when I was a kid, Bam Bam Bigelow was probably like visually the baddest looking dude I had ever seen. Like I remember seeing him for the first time being like, you can get tattoos on your skull? Like, you know, like I just never seen that before.
And if anybody remembers, he pops up in the Damon Wayans movie Major Pain.
Yeah. Gosh, I forgot all about that till you said that.
It was awesome seeing him in that.
Yeah, it's the main kid or the ne'er-do-well kid or whatever went to a biker bar and paid a guy to come whip Major Payne's ass, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So number 2, I got to keep Big Van Vader on there. I think he's one of the greatest of all time. Hal, I love that story about him retweeting your stuff. That's incredible. I also just love the fact that like Vader was a fat guy all the way around. Like you read about like he fucking stank. Like he was a hassle to wrestle because he didn't wash his gear and like lived hard and rode it wet and hung it up. You know, rode it hard and rode it and hung it up wet. But
didn't wash it apparently.
Right. No, maybe wrung it out a little bit, but never washed it. My number 1 fat guy wrestler's got to be Dusty Rhodes, man. The American Dream. Dusty's one of my favorites all time. He's on my Mount Rushmore. He's got a real special place in my heart. I don't think anybody does a better promo than Dusty Rhodes. At the end of the day, he is the best fat guy wrestler in my book.
Hal said it best, man. He made it cool to be fat.
Oh yeah.
He 100%. Like, and what I loved about Dusty, he didn't make my list. I don't know. And it was a mind slip because he would have definitely been on my list. Dusty was like so confident. Like you would have thought he had a 6-pack and he was just an Adonis. He did not give a shit how he looked. He walked out there with so much confidence. I love that about Dusty, especially like him clashing with Flair. It was like the polar opposites, man. Dusty's the man.
Yeah. Yep. And it's so funny. I was listening to Busted Open the other day and they were talking about what does it mean to be a good worker in wrestling? And they said how Dusty was such a great work rate wrestler because he went in, did 5 moves, but got paid the big money. And it's so true when you think about it.
Yeah.
All you people want to talk about the guys who go in there and can carry a match, but a work rate wrestler like Austin and The Rock could go in and do 5 moves and are getting all the money.
Yeah.
Like it totally blew my mind, that whole conversation. But also going back to Raw this week, we got to see an amazing match between Bronson Reed and Ivar.
Bronson Reed's a good one.
Absolutely.
Dude, 2 guys over 300 pounds this Monday night. They put on a match and the fans got into it because Bronson Reed picked up a security guard and hit Ivar with it. Like I was shocked at how much that match impressed me. But they're hoping maybe to starting a big men's division over on Monday Night Raw, which would be kind of fun.
That would be cool, man. The meat chance. I'm a big fan of. I don't know if I would consider this guy a fat guy wrestler. He's definitely big. But another guy like who's just a big imposing figure. I love Brody King, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's fat.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a fat. He's definitely like he's heavy set, but I don't think he's fat.
He's not fat.
You know, I almost put Keith Lee on my list. Because I mean God almighty, I love the way he moves. He's just crazy good at that size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keith Lee's a good one, especially if you go up till the end of his NXT run. I felt like he's lost something since then. I don't know what.
He just hasn't found himself in AEW.
I hope he does because he was so good in NXT. Like the little bit we saw of him, he wasn't even there that long. He was special in NXT. And it's 100% gone away. So I hope he can recapture that magic.
He seems like he's in that Mark Henry zone before Mark Henry went on the Hall of Pain tour and turned into a heel. It's like Keith Lee needs to find that mean streak inside of him. I think that's what he's lacking right now.
But what if Mark Henry becomes his manager to help him find it and they restart the Hall?
That'd be awesome.
That sounds perfect to me.
That's man, you ought to tell somebody that. Somebody that's got an ear to the a hand on the pencil.
It just sounds like it's something waiting to happen.
It should. That's a
Yeah.
great call, Tom.
That's
a
a great call.
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, we'd be hard pressed to sell Sneed on anything with Keith
Sneed
Lee.
hates
he
Keith Lee.
fucking hates him. But I'm with you, Tom. I loved Keith Lee's run in NXT, and I think you're right. He did start to lose, even when the short amount of time he was on the main roster at WWE. He lost something, and he hasn't picked it back up yet at AEW. But
they started calling him fucking Bearcat.
Yeah, that was so unnecessary.
Come on.
The whole Limitless gimmick, I'm not even like super stoked on. Like, but it's, I don't know. The dude moves like he's got moves better than 95% of big men. It's wild what he can do.
I think he knows that he needs to change something, because he went with that weird, the gray beard, gray hair look for a minute.
Yeah.
Like I think he knew it was time to change it up. Now it didn't work, but just the fact that he tried something else, I'm betting on Keith Lee. I feel like he's got a lot more than what they're doing with him in him.
He's trying. I'm with you. You can see he's like looking for something. He tried the gray hair.
Yeah.
He came out in the hood. He lost the hood. Now he's just coming out in his old school indie gear. Like, he is trying to find something. But Tom, I think you hit the nail on the head. Put a mean ass Mark Henry with him, man.
Yeah, I would eat that up. And you just look at the guys like Swerve. He came into AEW. It was with Keith Lee. He wasn't the best thing in the world. And look how they let him develop.
But here's the thing with Swerve, though. Like, with Swerve in Our Glory, when they had the tag titles, my eyes always gravitated towards Swerve. Like, I always saw something big with Swerve. He just had some sort of X Factor charisma to me that I feel like that's the thing Keith is missing, is that X Factor.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that, because I was just going to say that when those two were together as a tag team and when they had the feud and all that stuff, I could not have called that Swerve was going to be the one to be where he's at right now, because I figured when Keith Lee first got there, they were going to push his ass straight to the top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they just didn't do it for whatever reason.
There was a lot of people thinking he was going to be an AEW world champion within the first 2 years. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So before we move on from this topic, Sneed sent in his list. Since
Okay.
he can't be here today, I want to read it off for him. So
Number
Sneed's...
5, Keith Lee. Number 4, Keith Lee. Number 3, Bearcat Keith Lee.
And I don't know if he's got it in any order, so I'm just going to read it top to bottom. He's got Bam Bam Bigelow, one that none of us had. I'm kind of surprised. Big Boss Man.
Ooh.
Oh, shit.
Great one.
Andre the Giant, Mick Foley, and Dusty Rhodes.
Great list.
All solid fat guy wrestlers, man. Does anybody got any more to say about the Fat Boys before we move on to the final topic?
Well, I think the last person I want to shout out, just because he's the most disgusting, probably the most, when you think fat, disgusting wrestler, you got to shout out Bastion Booger. Come on.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was glad you added him to the graphic there. look how handsome. He's handsoming up that whole fucking corner, man. He's looking sharp.
Yeah, how's that shoulder smell there, Hal?
Hey! Jesus, God.
All right, we'll move on to topic number 3. Did CM Punk sell out going back to WWE? I'll go ahead and start this one off, man. Yeah, abso-fucking-lutely he sold out. There's I don't think there's any way that you slice it that he didn't. I'm excited. So let me just paint a picture for you. I watched Survivor Series the other night. Like I said, I don't always tune in for WWE, but I wanted to see Randy return, and just even though it sounded like this definitely wasn't going to happen, I watched it for the sheer possibility that it could. And I watched it till they threw up the fucking graphic, and then I hit the home button on my remote and did not see it happen until
Really?
Yeah. So I saw him throw up the copyright in the bottom right corner, And I was like, oh, well, they didn't do it. And it must have literally been a millisecond after I hit the home button that Cult of Personality hit. Because I got up, took a leak, checked my phone, and of course, Instagram is blowing up. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I pulled it back up and rewound it. And yeah, sure enough, I mean, I was like 0.08 seconds away from it happening.
I had to remote my hand to shut it off because when that little copyright thing came on, I'm like, I didn't believe he was showing up. And I'm like, I don't know if I was lying to myself because I just didn't want to be disappointed. But I went to I guess I saw that, I go, all right, he's not showing up. I went to shut it off, and all of a sudden the music hit, and I'm like, what? What's going on? Like, and it took a few seconds to hit me, and I'm like, oh my God, he's really here. And then I went ballistic.
Yeah, I'm glad it was a big moment. The fact they kept it a secret, hats off. Am I surprised at this point he went back? No, but for all the shit this guy talked and the way that he buried this company and the shots he took while he was in AEW, and the fact that his promo on the first Monday Night Raw back was pretty nutless, not addressing at all, talking about being back home after the way you exited this company, man. Like, yeah, you sold out big time. I mean, he said it himself. He's here to make money. So, there's nothing. I mean, people sell out all the time, man. I mean, shit.
He's not the first by far, and he certainly won't be the last. There's a long.
But he's the worst.
You I never expected to see Bret Hart. He punched Vince McMahon in the face on the way out the door, and yet they kissed and made up. The Ultimate Warrior, they made a DVD, The Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior. They kissed and made up. Bruno Sammartino said he would never have anything to do with them again. Triple H. It's just part of wrestling. People will do it, sell out, and when it comes down to making that almighty dollar, at the end of the day, when there's no other place to go, they're going to come back.
Yeah, but the big difference is, Tom, is that Bruno Sammartino, the Ultimate Warrior, and who was the other one? Bret Hart. They didn't make their gimmick off of being the punk rock anti-establishment fight the man. They didn't go on a 3-hour podcast and bury the company and say they would never work there. They didn't go out and call out Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, and Trinity when they left, and he came out and called everyone who stays there and puts up with that shit bootlickers. They didn't send out a tweet to Miz about go suck a blood money covered dick for their business dealings with Saudi Arabia. They didn't do all of that. Bret had beef with Vince, but he never buried the establishment, the entire company. That it goes beyond just CM Punk having a beef with WWE. Not only was his personal life him burying the company, but the gimmick himself when he was in WWE to begin with, his whole character was built on this. So for him to go to another company, show his ass, get shit canned for it, and then go back to take a paycheck, and everyone's like, yeah, what else is he going to do? You know what else he's going to do? What he could have done? He could have showed and proved to fans that he really is in this for the love of the business, and he is really in it to help pro wrestling. And he could have went to TNA Impact, and it would have elevated that company to the likes of which we've never seen before. And he could have been with a roster of young people that he could have infinitely helped. But no, what's he do? He goes, he takes a paycheck, he becomes a cog in the wheel, a big cog at that. But like, I don't know, man. Something really rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm not a Punk hater, dude. I'm a Punk guy. I liked Punk. I liked Punk in AEW. I was hopeful that it would work out. He kind of made a fool of me because I thought it was the perfect union in AEW for him. The anti-establishment guy going against the upstart company, fighting the big dog in the yard. It goes against all of his like ethics, morals, whatever he has preached, and it rubbed me the wrong way. So absolutely, CM Punk sold out.
What do you say, Hal?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he did. But I'll tell you what that promo the other night, it definitely rang hollow. After you see the promo that he cut in 2021 when he came back. Like, he was saying a lot of the same stuff, and
Oh, 100%.
I guess
without
the
the
audience,
fire.
the audience is bigger, so you got to say it again or whatever. And who cares if you said it at the smaller company? I don't know, but like, yeah, here's what I think's going to happen. I think he definitely sold out a little bit. He's definitely taken the check. But I was listening to Kevin Nash on Steve Austin's podcast a while back, and they were talking about Kevin was saying some shit like, how Puerto Rico does it. Like, he was talking about how the jump from when he and Scott Hall left and went to WCW. When they came back, nobody wanted him there. You know what I mean? And he didn't know if he would have had heat with Vince and everybody like that. So what he was telling Steve Austin was like, oh, Vince is probably going, let's do the Puerto Rico. Oh, fuck Nash. Nah. Let's bring him in, then fuck him. Part of me thinks they're bringing him in to set him up.
I could see that.
Because I don't know. I don't want to go too far out on that fucking tinfoil hat limb or nothing, but I don't think everything is all hunky dory over there. I think they're doing what they've done many, many times, which is bring somebody back to diminish them on TV
and make an example out of them.
Make a fucking example out of them.
I know Vince isn't pulling the strings per se now, but that's embedded in Triple H too. They do not like AEW. You can't tell me a guy who's embroiled in a high profile lawsuit with you, they're in a battle with your medical team. Oh, and is claiming that you forced him to work hurt and some pretty damning allegations CM Punk was bringing against this company. You don't think there's a sore spot there deep down? You don't think eventually that's going to hurt him? Now, it did come out today that reportedly there is a clause in CM Punk's current deal with WWE that is based, there's a behavioral clause in it where if I guess it's set up to where if he shows his ass in any sort of way, they can cut ties, no strings attached. So they're saying it's a 3-year deal. I don't know if he makes the 3 years, whether it's personality issues or an injury. I don't know if he sees that 3 years through.
What about the fact that this guy got fired on his wedding day? That's when they sent him the papers. There's still got to be feelings on both sides. You don't just let this go.
That's why he sold out. How do you let someone fire you on your wedding day and you're just going to it's water. And maybe I'm a grudge holding son of a bitch and CM Punk is a bigger man to let stuff go and do the deal. But I think if there wasn't money on the table and this global platform for him to get his face out there, I don't know if he would have went back to this company. It seems like he's tucking his tail and going back to the place that he said made him sick in the first place in AEW.
But now he feels like himself being there.
Right.
Which, like I was so blown away. Like, I watched it, but I'm like, I cannot wait for this story with Seth Rollins for him to call him out on this shit, because he is. And I think the story is going to be great, but I just want to see how this guy responds and if he's able to control himself.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. Like, this is what they have us. Like, they're going to blur the lines, but all of us are going to be sitting there like little marks wanting
I don't think they're going to go that deep. I really don't think they're going to bring AEW much up into this storyline.
I don't think they can. I think they must have some sort of an agreement where they're not allowed to talk about it. Punk and Tony Khan, they've come to terms with, okay, listen, there'll be no lawsuits. Let's just agree we're not going to talk about anything. I won't talk about what happened. You don't talk about it.
And another interesting piece of news that came out is Bryan Danielson was the head of the committee that made the decision to fire his ass. That says a lot because Danielson and Punk are friends.
Yeah, but think about it this way. Who the hell needs a committee to fire somebody when somebody tells the boss, I'm going to kill you? There's no committee needed. You're fired. There's the door. Get the hell out. Like you can't threaten your boss like that. You just can't. It's never going to work.
I just think it's smart business. That shows they had fail safes instituted where Tony couldn't just fire someone off of emotion. Like you're going to bring a committee in that's not a part of the confrontation, and they can make like a more clear-headed decision.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that it was a board of your peers definitely helps their case on the way of getting him out the door. And like, Tom, I get what you're saying on, in what job, in what industry do you work in where you can say that to your boss and get away with it? I mean, this is a little different. It is a high octane, ego driven industry where these guys are athletes and they're performers and emotions run high. So, I mean, shit's going to get said here that probably wouldn't go over where I work. Although I will say I did hear a guy tell my director of operations to suck his dick one time, and he did not get fired and actually left the company and then got rehired at one point. So shit happens.
Wow, he must have been really, really good at that fucking dick sucking.
But I will say, man, he sold out, but he sold out at the best possible time, man. Like, I mean, I don't think, I mean, his stock is as high as it's ever been. I mean, even though he hasn't really spent much time in 2023 actually fucking wrestling, who hasn't been talking about him in 2023?
And if not now, when? It's
exactly.
not like his shelf life, his time is ticking.
And I think he definitely justifies it. Going back to what you said, Chad, is like, how does he justify going back to this company where he's gone on and said, how can I go back to the place that made me sick in the first place and expect to be well? I mean, I think, going back to what you and Ace were saying on Wrestling Tonight last week, man, like it's fucking spite driven. It's got to be like at this point, like he's going back to, because I'm sure he is. There's no way that it's not stuck in his fucking craw about how things went down at AEW.
I said this on one of the other podcasts. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Exactly.
This is exactly why these two are hooking up at this point, because Punk, whether he's going to come out and say it, is pissed at AEW, and WWE just wants to take it to AEW any way they can. Even they don't consider them competition. But
that'll fade though.
Show, yeah. Listen, is the reason we are excited this guy's back because it's CM Punk, or is it because as humans we all love to watch car wrecks and we just want to see this go bad and want it to get as ugly as possible? I think
I'm not excited he's back.
I am.
Like that's the thing. I'm not excited. Like I just don't see. I don't know, man. I don't think he is going to showcase his best abilities on the mic as a character under this milquetoast presentation of pro wrestling. I think he could have been much more of himself in a TNA Impact. I think, like, I'm not trying to shit on WWE, dude. I was raised on WWE. I was raised on WCW. Like, it's always been a part of my life. Like, my first memory is seeing Bob Uecker get choked out by Andre the Giant on my TV. Like, it's one of my earliest. I like WWE, but it's this WWE of the last decade is not the wrestling that I grew up remembering fondly. It's very corporate. It's like Marvel movies. Like, I would much rather go see a Tarantino film than the new Avengers movie. But, people love Avengers. It makes tons of money, box office through the roof, but it's just not my brand. And when I see a talent like CM Punk go to a WWE, that's why I was so worried Ospreay would go there, because it's like, I don't want to see the WWE version of Ospreay. I want to see him be able to be him. And I don't feel like CM Punk can be him. And I know people are going to say, yeah, but Punk was there. And the Punk we know and love was born in WWE. The Punk was born in a WWE that is drastically different than the WWE we see today.
Yeah, but I think this WWE is a lot better than a WWE that was around when he was there the first time. I mean,
presentation's still the same. Presentation's still the same.
Vince isn't there, and it's not the same shit. Listen, I know wrestling is better when I get CM Punk on my TV every week, so I'm here for it. I want to see what he does. I want to see if it's good, so I'm giving him a chance. He's my third favorite of all time, so I'm going with him. Let's go.
Hal, I liked what you said earlier about how they might be bringing him. I don't think that's a tinfoil hat or two out there to say that they might be bringing him back into the fold to make an example of him. And I think it'll be really telling whether that happens or not, to whether or not this is actually a different company than it's been with the past, with Vince out of the chair and with Endeavor involved. I know that they're really preaching. I mean, they said it at the press conference. So Hunter said it at the press conference, like, this is a really interesting time to be here in WWE. He's like, most of the brass at Endeavor, or most of the brass at TKO, found out when they watched this that he came back. Like, me and Khan knew. They're just kind of letting us do their thing. So it'll be interesting to see if the kind of ship Hunter runs is a different ship than his father-in-law did. Because if he buries him here, then old habits die hard.
Well, but I mean, the Vince way is to get as much money out of him as possible and then bury him.
Yep. So we'll see. And it'll be hard to really know what the truth is and how it plays out, because Punk is such a volatile character, and it's like there's no way they were going to sign this contract with him without that clause. Chad mentioned, like, yeah, dude, you fucking don't fly right for a second, your ass is out of here with no money. Like, that's the only way anybody can employ him at this point.
And I'll be honest, dude, I think they're already testing him. I think the test has already began. I think because if you heard when he said the whole "I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money," that was supposed to be a part of his promo, but supposedly the Randy Orton match ran long, so whose segment gets cut? It's CM Punk. They cut his segment. It was supposed to be way bigger. I don't think that was by happenstance. I think they cut his segment last minute as a test to see if he was going to get his boo-boo face on and be all upset about it. And that's just night one. Imagine when his booking isn't the way he wants. He's going to consistently see a little bit of these tests, and they're going to be seeing, like, let's poke the bear a little bit and see how he responds before they just hand him a WrestleMania main event. I feel like they're going to test the waters and make sure he can put the smiley face on and not get all disgruntled.
I think that damn haircut might have been a test number one too. They let somebody chop his ass up right before sending him out at Survivor Series. It's a bit of a hack job there, man.
Simple Jack.
Yeah.
Saturday night. I don't know what the hell they did. But listen, I would imagine he must have an out clause in his contract too for creative. If he doesn't like stuff, he has to have.
He doesn't have any power.
Not at this point, man. I don't think he's got that.
On there and signed a "you could totally control me" contract. There's no way he did.
I think he did, man. I don't think he has any leverage. He had leverage for stuff like that at AEW, but I don't think WWE is going to give him any sort of creative control.
We'll see. I mean, certain guys, they are allowed to go out there and cut their own promos. I don't think he came back there to say, "Give me a script. I'm only going to say what you tell me."
Well, if that was off of his dome and not a script, he fell off.
It was a very safe promo. It was super.
It didn't seem like Punk. I mean, there was no fire. There was no piss and vinegar in that promo. Like,
I mean, I don't disagree. Plus, who knows? We'll see. We'll definitely see in the coming weeks.
It seemed like a writer. To me, what his promo seemed like they stuck a writer in a room for about 8 hours and had them brush up on Peacock of who CM Punk is, and then they went and wrote a script for him. That's what that promo felt like to me.
And first they watched the AEW return from 2021.
Yep.
What? Hey, I like that line. Let's use the. Yeah, I mean, I'm back. I'm home.
It felt so recycled, that the whole promo on Monday night. It just totally did. Like,
well. Any final thoughts on Punk selling out, going back to WWE?
I mean, he's a sellout, but I'm here for it.
Hey, listen, same with me. I'm going to be watching. I won't. I made the mistake of sitting through all 3 hours of Raw.
You know how many?
And then I fell asleep at like 10:30. So I had to wake up and see the promo the next day. But like,
I got more messages from people who watched Raw for the first time the other night, just to see CM Punk asking me why Nia Jax was there.
Yeah, it's definitely got me interested. I will say that. I know, Chad, you said you weren't excited. I'm not going to come out and say I'm outright excited, but I am interested to see where it goes. And I'll be watching a lot more. That's for sure. I don't know. I haven't willed myself through an entire 3 hour Raw since it went 3 hours, but once or twice. But I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't rule it out. I'm definitely much more likely to do it now than I ever have been.
I watched up Monday praying that wherever they go with a new contract, they cut it back to 2 hours, because 3 hours for a weekly television.
That's not happening. Too much sponsorship money. That's
Yeah.
not happening. I'll be watching just to, follow along and stay up to date. But I have no hope. I have no high expectations. So maybe they can win me over. We do have one quick round robin. The round robin directly ties into this. Now, we saw when Punk came back, and this can be a quick response from everybody. When CM Punk came back, Seth Rollins was flipping out, cursing him at ringside, very unhappy to see him. Is Seth Rollins shoot hot at CM Punk? Is this a work or a shoot?
It's absolutely a work. Seth Rollins is too much of a professional if he felt that way. He's never going to act that way at Inside. They're setting up the long-term storytelling. Seth Rollins is such a genius. He started this months ago when he was interviewed. Philly Phil, we don't want you here. What a great way to kick off a story.
Yep, it's a work.
It's a work.
I am not going to come out and say it's an absolute shoot, but I think it's a work, but the best work or the best feuds are the one that got some true hate in there somewhere. And I think it's in there. I do think that there's a big lack of respect.
But
from
Cole,
Rollins
if you
to
go
Punk.
back and look at other Seth Rollins interviews from the past, he's put CM Punk over and how much he's helped him and everything. I don't think he has any ill feelings versus him.
I think he does. I think he's put him over, but there's also been interviews from the past where he doesn't like how CM Punk treated the company and talked about the company. Yeah. I don't think it's all their buddies in the back, all sunshine and lollipops, high-fiving. Oh, we're going to have a good program. I think it's 100% a work, but I don't think Seth Rollins is like on CM Punk's Christmas card list and vice versa.
Yeah, I that's the best way to say it for me too, right there, Chad. I think it's a work, and I mean I'm excited. Like we talk, Chad. You said they might not go too far with it. You don't expect them to really go out there, but I mean that kind of reaction out of Seth is not something that we have seen on WWE programming the last half a decade. And if this is where bringing Punk back in is going to take this presentation of this promotion, I'm fucking here for it.
Very true.
I want to believe all day it's a fucking shoot. But I want to believe it is.
Were they showing this on Survivor Series, or was this was fan footage shit?
That's true, but man, if they wanted to control that video from getting out, they fucking could, and it's fucking everywhere. That's booking wrestling in the 2020s where social media is another level of exposure.
That's social media kayfabe for sure.
They probably had a fucking intern with the camera video.
Yeah,
exactly. It's
awful.
Great
shot right there on the aisle.
It's awful steady shot for a fan video.
Yeah,
there
is the only guy in WWE who's blurred the lines in the last couple of years. He did it in the program with Riddle, calling out what happened with his wife. So I'm here for what he's going to do with this. I think it's going to be a great story.
Yep.
Well, shit, guys, that was a hell of a debate episode. We had some real good actual debate. Sometimes you get a bunch of marks on here that just all feel the same way about things. There was some heat on that one a couple times tonight. So
I like it.
I do too, man.
Great job running the ship, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh man, thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
Colton.
I mean, I'm no Sneed, but it was. I'm happy to do it. And Hal, man, tell everybody where they can find you.
On Twitter and Instagram at Hal Haney Art, and my website is halhaneyart.com.
Man, we're super glad to have you back tonight. Big fan of your work. The door is always open. We'd love to have you back on another time. If you guys are not following Hal Haney Art on Instagram and Twitter, go do so right now. Holidays are coming up. If you're a wrestling fan, this guy's got incredible artwork and prints. Go buy the wrestling fan in your life or yourself a print for Christmas.
Yeah, it's the holidays. Go buy Hal Haney Art. So much good stuff out there, and get the guy even busier than he already is. Try to get him to commission something from Hal if he will.
Oh God! You're screwing me.
Yeah.
We're excited to hear your news you can't talk about when you can talk about it, buddy. So glad to hear.
I'll tell you what, when I can talk about it, I'll come back on and talk about it.
Absolutely, dude. Let us know. We'll have you back on, and we'll blast the news out there for you.
Hell yeah, man. Well, thank you guys for having me again.
Absolutely, man. That's going to wrap us up for another episode here of the Turnbuckle Debate. Thank you guys for joining us. You can get all your tavern needs at theturnbuckletavern.com. Tom, this is your spot, buddy. Get your shit in.
I was hoping you were going to say that. And it's the OG Pig Kid on Twitter and Instagram. And do not forget, Pig Night every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Mike Belcaster and myself.
All right. And as of that, court is adjourned.